Well, hello out there. I'm T.M. Brown, and welcome to the next reading from my very first book, A Life Not My Own. I'm so excited that you guys continue to join me on this journey, and I apologize for being away for a little bit. You guys know how it is between day jobs and trying to work and then trying to do podcasts. I have a pretty full schedule, but those are just excuses, and I'm glad to be back. And sharing some more of my story. You know, things are starting to get a little hot, and, you know, some intimate details are being shared by me right now. And to be honest, sometimes it's a little challenging to actually read the words out loud. You know, in my mind's eye, I'm visualizing the experiences that I'm reading about, and in some instances, it makes me a little sad that things didn't work out, or I made the wrong decisions, or in some cases, I just didn't see things as clear as I see them now. And maybe that's all about maturing and just experiencing life. So, you know, don't beat yourself up, folks, about, you know, the things that, you may have regrets about or wish you had done differently. It's all part of this journey that we're on. So, back to the readings. So my intent, as always, is to share more with you than you'd experience if you read my story on your own. And if you decide that you'd like to read along with me, or maybe you just want a copy to read at your leisure, you can find a copy of my book, A Life Not My Own, through my website, www.authortmbrown.com. And as you listen to my podcast, you may have questions about a certain segment. Maybe you're not understanding what I'm trying to share with you, or you just have questions. So feel free to reach out to me. My email address is tm.brown35@yahoo.com. So as always, we started with the very first page, and we're working our way through the book and getting very close to the end. So I hope that you're still following me. We are currently on page 124. Are you ready? Now what are you trying to tell me? He said, laughing. I've been offered another assignment, I said, floating above the bed. But wait a minute. Did I hear you correctly? Or was that just... No, it wasn't just the heat of the moment, he interrupted. I love you, Tina. It hurt me to see you hurting. I talked to my brother about you while I was in California. Afterwards, I began to think that maybe my concern for you was more than just a strong affection. I realized that what I was feeling for you was love. But wait a minute, what are you talking about? Another assignment? Don't tell me you're leaving. Not now. I'm being assigned to rhyme mine. Okay, I can handle that. Our trip to Italy was great. We camped out at the campgrounds at Aviano Air Force Base. We had the largest tent in the group, large enough to house a double air mattress on one side and a dressing area on the other. Although the bus ride there was so long, everyone wanted to get up their tents as fast as they could so that we could go sightseeing. There were people scattered everywhere. We were lucky enough to find a place near an electrical outlet that we used to plug in our portable TV. Victor, he had thought of everything. After we had organized our home away from home, we decided to check out the facilities there on base. During our exploring, we stumbled upon the ITT office, that's the travel office, and decided to rent a car with another couple to drive to Venice for the day after Victor's game. Victor's team lost their second game in the tournament, but no one seemed too upset about that. Everyone seemed more interested in seeing Italy, more interested in that than playing baseball in the hot sun. And believe you me, it was hot that day. We drove to the boating dock that would take us to Venezia. That's the proper pronunciation for Venice. We wanted to explore the city. I have found that many other European towns are quite different from the expectations that I had, as most Americans do. Most of us visit Europe and expect the setting to be like those we've seen on television in the old movies. To me, that expectation is a little unrealistic. That is, unless you're speaking about Venice. Venice has an old world charm. I peeked through the ground level windows of many residences there and found a very modern decor, but the exterior of the buildings looked as if they hadn't been touched since the structure was originally built. The streets were very narrow and full of tourists. Victor loves to window shop. We shopped in every watch store that we passed. I, on the other hand, was amazed at the craftsmanship of the artisans. There were shops full of handmade items such as wooden figurines, artwork, and hand-blown glass. I had never seen so many glass shops before. Some of the shops specialized in miniature glass figurines such as ants and ladybugs and butterflies and spiders. These pieces were so well done that most of them really looked real. So Victor and I were having a wonderful time. The timing couldn't have been more perfect for the trip. The weather was warm, the people were friendly, and everyone, including the locals, filled the streets and canals. The annual gondola races were taking place. The local men were dressed in vintage clothing and racing along the canals. The costumes were beautifully adorned with gold embroidery, beads, and jewels. We found a spot to watch the races along the city's border and soaked up the sun. "Man, this is great, huh?" I said with excitement. "Yes, it is. I'm glad we were able to do this," he said. "Me too. But it's starting to get a little hot for me. You want to get out of the sun for a while and get something to eat now?" "Sure. Did you have any place in mind that you like to eat?" "What about that large square that we passed on the way here? It seemed pretty nice. I need to find the ladies' room anyway." "Okay. Well, I guess we better go now because I'm not sure exactly where we are," he said, taking my hand. I liked the way he'd take my hand when we walked. It made me feel special. It made me feel like he wanted to be close. Periodically, he'd rub the top of my hand as we walked. I liked that. We had been walking for quite a while and still hadn't found a place to eat. "I really need to use the bathroom now. What about that place over there?" I pointed. It was a little small restaurant with 2 small tables and chairs in front of it. "Tina, I don't know. It doesn't look that great from the outside." "Okay then, I'll just run in and use the bathroom, okay? I'll wait for you right here." As I entered the restaurant, I was blinded by the difference in the lighting inside the restaurant as compared to outside. It was really dark inside. There were a few men standing around the bar, and there were only about 6 tables in the room. I looked around for the ladies' room and quickly walked in the direction of the sign. There were only 2 stalls, so I opened the door to one of them. I thought it was being repaired and opened the other stall, and it was in the same condition. Damn, I really needed to go, I thought. Just then, an older woman came in, went into the stall that I looked in initially, and closed the door behind her. 2 seconds later, I heard her relieving herself, and I thought to myself, where did she go at? There was no toilet in there. I pretended to check my makeup in the mirror as she came out of the stall. You American, yes? Yes, ma'am, I am. There is no toilet here. You must use this, she said, opening the stall door and pointing to a small drainage hole in the floor. You must do this over the hole, she said, mimicking a squatting position and patting me on the back as she departed. I didn't think that I could squat over such a small hole without wetting my pants, so I had to take them off completely. I missed the hold initially, but was able to get the hang of it enough to relieve myself without making too much of a mess. I joined Victor outside. I thought I was going to have to come in and get you. Was everything okay? It is now, I laughed. We found a place to eat, met our friends at the appointed rendezvous point, and returned to camp. We would be returning to Germany in the morning. That night, we made love under the stars. I'm so glad that we were able to be here together like this. I felt that it was too soon when we were in Spain, but I have to admit that part of me wanted you even then, I said, as I floated over our substitute bed. I wanted to be with you then too. Tina, that's one thing that you really don't have to worry about with me. I have only the utmost respect for you. You shouldn't let anything or anybody stop you from doing what you want to do. Listeners, I've been hearing that all my life, and I don't think I've embraced that yet. I know that in the past, guys have taken advantage of your kindness, he said, but you have to remember that guys who act like that aren't really men yet. They have a lot of growing up to do. I can honestly say that if we had made love in Spain, I wouldn't have thought any less of you. So I messed up, huh? No, you didn't mess up. You were just being you. I just wanted you to know that you don't have to worry about what I'm going to think of you based on what we share. I know the kind of person you are, and I love what I see. This may not be the best time to bring this up, but I think that we both know that things have been a little strained between us lately. I said, most of that has been my fault. I don't want to lose you, but I also know that if we don't move forward with our relationship, the Army will pull us apart. I only have 5 months left overseas, and you have more than a year left on this tour. Oh, don't think I haven't been thinking the same thing lately, Tina. But let's talk about it on the way home tomorrow. Right now, I don't want to concentrate on anything else but holding you. You feel so good, he said, caressing the lower part of my back. Come on, baby, he said as he pulled me on top of him. Come on, baby, he said again, guiding my hips as he entered my soul. Ah, yes, right there, baby. Shh, I said. We have to be a little quiet tonight. We're in a tent, remember? He had a way about him. He enjoyed making love and wasn't ashamed to show it. He let me know that our lovemaking made him feel good, and that in turn reinforced my need to please him. His every response navigated me on the long journey that always ended unexpectedly in climactic ecstasy. Come here, Tina, he said, as our bodies finally relaxed. He softly kissed my face. I really want this to work between us. You make me feel so good. No one has ever made me feel the way you do, he said, holding me tightly. We lay there for a few moments, catching our breath and looking up through the tent into the skylight and at the stars. "This is a beautiful night," I said, kissing him softly. "I wish we could stay here a little longer." "Well, we definitely will be leaving in the morning, but we do have the rest of the night. Are you tired?" "No, not really," I said. "Why?" "Well, I was hoping we could," he said, smiling as he laid his body on top of me. "Do this just one more time, okay? We've got to make up for the time we missed in Spain," he laughed. As we expected, the bus trip back to Oberhausen, Germany was long. I had caught a cold and wasn't feeling that great. Honestly, I felt horrible, and I know I looked a hot mess, and the ride was making me really sick. "I'm sorry. I was really hoping we'd have a chance to talk on the way home," I said, sneezing. "Excuse me." "It's okay. I just hate to see you so miserable. I'll see if I can find you some medicine when we make the next stop. Do you think you'll be all right until then?" "I'll be fine. It's just a cold," I lied. "Come here," he said, stretching out his arms for me. I slept in his arms for several hours and felt much better when I awoke. "Wow, you were asleep for a long time. I thought I was going to have to wake you up for the next stop," he said. "I feel a lot better now," I said, rubbing my eyes. "Are you hungry? There's a restaurant at the stop." "To be honest, I'm starving." We found a table inside the restaurant, selected our meals from the buffet, and sat down to eat. There were tourists everywhere. The restaurant was huge. Actually, it stretched across the Autobahn highway in both directions. "Tina, do you feel like talking about what's going to happen with us now? Or are you still not feeling well?" "I'm fine." "Well, you know how I feel about you, and I know how you feel about me, but I'm still not sure where we go from here." "Neither am I. It's been funny working at the Rhein-Main Air Base. It's been a lot of fun. It was a little scary doing Desert Shield, Desert Storm, but that's over now. Now I have to make a decision about my career. You know that I've been taking graduate classes, and I don't intend to be a specialist for the rest of my life. I'm feeling like I probably need to change my duty station. I know you have goals that you're trying to achieve, and we haven't made any commitments to one another. Even if we had, I don't think you should let that hold you back," he said. "I only have a few months left on my enlistment, and I need to make a decision about what I'm going to do, Victor. I hope you hear me saying that I have to make a decision. This in no way is meant to put any pressure on you." I wanted him to know that. We were getting along great, but my move to 21st Replacement Battalion was opening my eyes about a few things. I was rushing things between us because I was afraid of losing him. A lasting relationship cannot be built on the fear of losing the person. "I hear you," he smiled. "I think what I'm going to do is to start looking for a new assignment. After all, I am a personnel management specialist. I should be able to find myself a decent job, don't you think?" I asked sarcastically. "Yeah, I think so, but that still doesn't answer the question about you and me." "What do you want to do about that?" I asked, not having any idea what he might say. "Well, I want to continue seeing you, he said. That's what I want too, I said. Just once, I wanted to be surprised by him. He was still holding back. Maybe he had his reasons, and I had to respect that. Still, I was very disappointed by his response. I didn't think that he would propose marriage, but I was hoping that he would ask me to at least stay in Germany. There had to be more to this that I was not aware of. We ate the rest of our meals and returned to the bus. We still had to endure 4 more hours of a long trip back to Germany. We played cards, listened to music, and talked with our friends to pass the time. Finally, we were at the installation. Victor lived on post, so we went to his room to drop off his bags before he drove me to my apartment. We walked upstairs, and I waited in his room while he returned to the bus to get his bags. His room in the barracks was actually more like a studio apartment than a barracks room. He was very much into music and had all kinds of audio equipment. For a man, he kept a pretty clean place. Even the bedroom area was neat and clean. I noticed that the shaving stand that I had given him for his birthday was on the nightstand beside his bed, and I walked towards it. I thought it was sweet that he hadn't used it yet. Maybe he was keeping it for a special occasion. I felt a little uncomfortable being in his bedroom area without him, so I turned around to exit the area and noticed a cork board filled with greeting cards. Some were for me, but the majority of them were not. I know now that I shouldn't have, but I read some of them. Not just one of the cards, but a few of them. Can't wait to see you again. Love and kisses. It was good. When are you coming home again? Oh, so he thinks it's like that, huh? Just then I heard his footsteps and flopped in the closest chair that I could find. I decided not to confront him with this yet. You know how we do it, ladies. We find a piece of information and we pick our time to present it to the person. And I was so in that mode. The drive to my apartment was pretty quiet. All the way there, I was thinking about the discovery that I had made. He had to know that I would see the cards. Maybe he wanted me to see them. Maybe this was his way of telling me that things weren't as serious between us as I thought. Once again, I was reverting to my old feelings about men. Love is just something they say to get what they want. I thought he was different, or maybe I just wanted him to be different. He took my bags up to the apartment, and it was nice to be home. I sat on the sofa while he went downstairs to get my other bags. I walked to the door as he set the bags down. I had a really good time. Thanks, I said, in a manner that let him know that I was saying good night. What? Don't you want me to stay? He asked. Well, according to what I just read a few moments ago, I'm quite sure there are plenty of other places that you can stay. Damn, I didn't mean to say that, at least not just then, but it just came out. Excuse me? What are you talking about? He said. I'm talking about all those cards that you have displayed in your room. Why would you even let me in to see all of that, Victor? I never hid anything from you. We never made any commitments to one another. You know that. You know how I feel about you, but you are not my wife. Okay. Look, it's been a long day. Just go. Tears were running down my face. It hurt me to hear him say that, even though I knew he was right. I didn't have the right to question him. His response had taken me by surprise, though. Okay, Tina, if that's what you want. He leaned down to kiss me, and I turned away. Now, readers, we're on the next chapter called Now What? So I'm always surprised at the difference between one day and the next. Events can happen to change our lives within the blink of an eye. Things were going along so well between Victor and me. At least that's what I thought. I honestly thought that we would be able to resolve whatever the problems were that we had. Then to me, it seemed like the bottom dropped out. I didn't see any point to keep going on with this thing. It was pretty plain to see that we were not meant to be together. Now, it was just a matter of finding a way to say goodbye. I hadn't heard from Victor in 2 weeks when the telephone rang one evening. "Hello," he said in his usual upbeat manner. "Hi." I wondered what he wanted. After that night in his apartment, I didn't see a reason for us to say any more. "So how are you doing, Tina?" "I'm doing just fine. But why are you calling me?" I was becoming a little annoyed with this small talk. "I heard that you are transferring to Belgium, and I just wanted to say goodbye," he said very slowly. "I am so sorry that things didn't work out between us, but I wanted you to know that I never lied to you, and I still care for you and about you." "Okay," I said sarcastically. I was still very hurt as a result of everything that had happened. "Tina, were you actually going to leave without saying goodbye?" "Yeah, I was. I really don't see the point of making this any harder than it already is." I was trying to be strong, but the tears were falling anyway. It was harder than I expected. I just wanted to hang up the phone. "I will miss you, Tina." "And I will miss you too. Can we just say goodbye now?" I said softly. "I hope you know that I never meant to hurt you, and I am so sorry." I know, I interrupted. "That's just the chance you take when you give your heart." "Hey, I gave mine too, he interrupted. "No, actually, I don't know that, Victor." We were both holding the receiver in silence now. I don't remember there ever being a quiet moment between us. Now, neither one of us had anything to say. We had spent 3 years together, most of which had been full of fun and excitement. I knew that whatever happened from this time forward, the memories we had shared together could not be erased. "Well, you take care of yourself and learn some French. You always were good with the languages. I'll miss you," he said. "I'll miss you too." There, I said it. I didn't want to, but I did. I wasn't mad at him. I was more disappointed that things hadn't turned out as I hoped, dreamed that they would. The next day, I signed the reenlistment papers for my new assignment in Belgium. Once again, I was starting my life over, starting with a clean slate, well, at least a blank one. Ma would always say, everything happens for a reason. God has a plan for us, and we can't change it. That's the way it is. Some of his plan, he reveals to us. Some of it may take a lifetime for us to understand, and some we may never find the answer for. I never saw Victor again after that day. I have learned that it really doesn't matter what I think and honestly, to some extent, what I want. Because God only works for the good of those who love Him. It doesn't matter that I take the worldly approach to intimacy. God does not take that approach. Now, I am sure that my opinion about sex was one of my biggest problems. Love making, it should be an expression of deep love, which is exactly what the name implies. Anything less than that is devaluing the whole experience. It has taken me a long time to get to where I am today, and I know that there are more lessons ahead of me. So many times the Lord reached out to me and I refused to accept His word and His love because I didn't want to change the part of my life that would have to change if I were ever to have peace within myself. I thought I was working towards cleaning myself up. What I didn't realize was that there is nothing I can do. It is all God's work. So let's stop here today, listeners. I hope that you will join me for the next episode of A Life Not My Own. Have yourself a good day.